Everybody, it's Gail from Gail's Bookish Things. I have another junk journal to share with you this evening. This is something I recently completed. I actually just tied it together about half an hour ago, and this is for a friend of the family. I've tied the junk journal with this, I think it's like that sari fabric. It came with a Bible journaling kit I bought a little while ago, and I saved that piece of ribbon because I really liked how that looked. To me, it has a vintagey look, but it's still very durable, so it can be tied numerous times, opened numerous times, and I think it will work fine. It's also big enough where this journal can expand a little bit and accommodate some added bulk. This is a faux leather cover. I've shown these before. I made 21-ish journals. There was one that was a bad mistake, so actually 22, but this is just, I made these journals for a art subscription box, and I liked the cover, so I decided to do that as the cover for this journal. Basically, I just used a cardstock, like that craft paper it's called, and I treated it to kind of resemble weathered leather. You can see my other videos on that. I picked up on some, or tried to pick up on some burgundy highlights, or create that in here. So basically, when I'm adding color, after wrinkling it, treating it with water and glycerin, I go back and add color. So I did some of that chalking ink that I showed in a previous video. This was like a mulberry color or something, I can't remember. But I added some of that, and then I went over it with brown shoe polish. So the person that's receiving this likes burgundy, so I tried to make that, excuse me, I'm in a dry throat tonight. Let me grab a drink of water. I tried to add a little bit of burgundy to the cover. I think this turned out pretty well. I really like how these covers feel. I reinforced it with a strip of cardstock or craft paper cardstock, and I also similarly added color to that. So it kind of blended in, but this still obviously looks like its own separate piece. But the whole cover is one continuous piece. I just reinforced the outside and the inside, I don't know if you'll see it, with some scrapbook paper. And I went over everything then with Mod Podge. I just used the clear matte finish. Probably the longest thing of making a journal like this is just the drying process of all the steps for the cover. But when it's done, I think it's kind of a fun look. It's lightweight, but it has a unique look to it. So I'm making this, as I said, for a friend of the family, and one thing I was told that she likes is roses and daffodils, so I just picked up on the rose theme, or used the rose theme, and she likes vintage and old books and so forth. So I thought this would be a really fun, unique Christmas gift. The look I was going for is a vintage journal. So I think, I got this little thread here that's bugging me. I think I accomplished that. To me, this looks like a book that a traveler would take on the train in another era or something. But anyway, I tried to recreate that for her. So I'll just page through real quick. You can see that the inside covers are the same. I just kind of tried to pick the side that I thought was the best for the front, that maybe turned out the most visually pleasing, although it's all very similar. I used a blend of scrapbooking paper, a garden flower book that I got at Goodwill. I just bought it for the purpose of cutting up, and I have cut it up a lot. It's mostly a book that features flowers, but it just has some vegetable garden stuff in it. But I bought it primarily for the flowers. So wherever you see a big rose, it's from that book. I also have an old atlas, and I use some atlas pages. This friend is originally from, okay, that's the wrong continent. Never mind. Never mind. Anyway, the atlas pages, I think, just kind of gives it that vintage flair, a bit of a travel vibe. I like to use the graph paper. This is a big picture, a big page from the garden book that I was just telling you about. These accent pages, again, I've mentioned before, but they are just that, an accent page. However, if you wanted to, you could write here on the blank spaces, or you could adhere something to this, or you could decorate it with more stickers or washi or ticket stubs or a receipt from a store or from a movie or a purchase or a restaurant. So it's really kind of there for pizzazz, but it can also be functional. I used some scraps of scrapbook paper, folded them, corner rounded it, and I made a few of these corner tuck spots. These are just bought coupon, or not coupon, says coupon, tickets from the dollar store. And I tea-dyed them a while back, and now I just use those to add to the vintage flair. And then again, the scrapbook paper here is from a pack. I don't know if it's a Tim Holtz paper, but it was a whole pad of paper that kind of had vintage theme. And I'm seeing that my corner here is slightly unglued, so I'll just, while we're here and I'm thinking of it, I'm just going to add a little spot of glue there. It's knowing me, I'll forget it. So it's really getting to be kind of it can be a quick process to put together a junk journal. Once you decide on your size, fold your papers, and that's the big thing. And it's okay to have smaller ones in there, but have your main size, make the cover that will fit your main size, and then assemble it all. I've gotten pretty much to where I kind of do an assembly line, and I chose to do this one just folding paper. It's primarily just that. Occasionally I had to take some off the length or the width, but overall it was just folded paper. And that made the process go really quick. Here's an old children's workbook from the 1960s, I think. I remember seeing the copyright. I added some of these roses on random spots that I felt like maybe it would be fun to have that pop of color. So even though this is focusing on the vintage per her preferences, I like adding random, kind of unexpected, more contemporary feel to it. So I didn't do that everywhere. I wanted to make sure there was plenty of room to write or add things. Here again is another little spot. More roses. This is like a tea-dyed or coffee-dyed index card. Another tuck spot, added a rose picture there. Any of the blank areas can be used for writing. You could even write over this if you have a dark pen. I have a fountain pen that I have filled with Noodler's ink that's Heart of Darkness black, and it would really work well in there, I think. I love this stamp one. There's another rose. This is from a book that featured all kinds of papers, and you know, that's not real functional. You could attach things, but this is the side. And then I put in a side that's good for writing. Another rose, obviously. I selected this page from a Seek and Find thing because mostly this page features languages, and this person speaks Arabic, French, Italian, and English. So yeah, pretty amazing. I'm just struggling to brush up on my high school and college French, but that's pretty cool. So another guide card with in a corner tuck spot with a tag. Vintage paper. This is from a pad of paper that's kind of the vintage theme, but it's a lighter weight than that previous earlier one I showed you. That's more cardstock, where this is scrapbook paper. And tuck spot, and this is a page that is actually goes this direction, I believe, or maybe this. I'm not sure what continent oh yeah, actually I think it goes like this. I think that's Italy. Anyway, scrapbook paper made to look old. This is just a piece of a paper bag. Sheet of tracing paper. I thought that was really pretty, so I added that. Again, a good place to stick a photo, postcard, whatever. Same here, although you could write over this. Hang on, with a with a bolder ink. These heavier weight ones are the cardstock. That's where I made these tuck spots. Sorry for my froggy throat. And I really had fun adding these roses. I think that adds an unexpected element. That's a little bit of flair there. That's a writing space or attaching space. And again, we're just now seeing the reverse side to what I previously showed you. It's not a super thick book, but I think it'll really work nicely for her for a little travel journal or an everyday journal, you know, really whatever she wants to use it for. But I wanted to do something kind of unique for her for Christmas. There we go. Again, basically, this is just folded over scrapbook paper that was trimmed off from the journals I made for the earlier art subscription boxes. So I used some of those scraps here, and I did sew these pockets on the cardstock rather than just gluing it. Got out my sewing machine and made that sturdier by sewing. And then here's a little envelope that I received. It's actually a Kaweco, I think it was the black clip for my Kaweco pen came in this, or it might have been the converter. I don't remember, one of the two, but it was in that little tiny envelope, and I thought that would be a fun place for a little memorabilia, maybe a dried flower, or again, any kind of ticket stub or receipt. Cut those, or absolutely gorgeous flowers, roses. And you kind of get the idea. The same elements really are repeated throughout, but every page is slightly different. So it doesn't seem too repetitive, even though essentially it's the same thing over and over. I have not counted those pages, but it's bulkier than I thought it was going to be. So the cover's a little bit almost too short, but I kind of think it works okay. There's just a little bit of spots where that sort of sticks out, and I think with a little manipulating it will actually work okay. It's not bad. Anyways, it's supposed to be a junk journal, so it doesn't have a pristine, perfect look, but I think it's got a lot of character. I think it'll be fun for her to use, and I hope she really enjoys it, and hope that inspires you to maybe try making a junk journal. They're really not difficult at all. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to comment below. I'm happy to answer any question that I can, or point you in a direction if I don't know how to answer. But I can tell you anything about making a book like this, obviously. So feel free to ask that in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.